Hello, I'm Alan Keays. I'm joined today by Gordon Dritschilo.
Hello.
And also joining us on the phone is Neal Goswami, who's in Des Moines, Iowa. Right now, he was there last night as well for the Iowa caucuses. And Neal, you're one of the few Vermont reporters still there today. What are you working on today for a story?
Well, I'm working on sort of a wrap-up here and a reaction story to last night's caucuses. We finally had a declared winner a little bit earlier this afternoon from the Iowa Democratic Party. And Hillary Clinton did win a very narrow margin of victory here last night.
How narrow?
When I say narrow, very, very narrow. She won 49.8% of the available state delegates to Sanders' 49.6%. And what that all means is that she will win 701 state delegates and Sanders will win 697. And those state-level delegates translate into national delegates to the national convention. And so Hillary Clinton will walk away with 22 of those to Bernie's 21. So a very, very narrow margin of victory, which I think you could arguably make the case that it's essentially a win for Bernie since he was able to perform so well.
And you were at a caucus last night, correct?
I was. It was a very strange experience. I'd never seen one before. We certainly don't have that in Vermont, but it's sort of a wheel and deal process where each camp counts their supporters. At the particular caucus in Des Moines that I was at, the O'Malley folks were not viable. They didn't have 15% of the total group. So each of the other two campaigns, Sanders and Clinton, did their best to bring them over to their side. And in the end, the O'Malley folks, I think they had 22 out of roughly 400 people. They ended up splitting roughly in half between Bernie and Hillary Clinton.
And Bernie Sanders flew out, was it early this morning?
Technically, it was early morning on the East Coast. It might have been just before midnight here in Central Time Zone. But he is now on the ground in New Hampshire. And he's got an event, I believe, tonight in southern New Hampshire that Joshua Gorman will be at covering for us.
Mm-hmm. And as far as Vermonters go, were there a lot of Vermonters participating as volunteers that you saw in Iowa?
I didn't see a whole lot of Vermonters. I did meet a couple of people who had Vermont connections but now live in Iowa and were participating in a caucus. But I didn't see a whole lot of Vermonters that were here working, aside from Bernie Sanders' inner circle, which includes some of the folks from his worked in his congressional and Senate offices over the years.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thanks, Nick. Thanks, Neal, for that update, and we look forward to seeing you back here in Vermont.
My pleasure. I'll be home tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, Neal. I'm going to hang up now.
Thank you. Okay.
And also in tomorrow's paper, we'll have a follow from the Aldermen's meeting regarding Combination Pond that you're working on, right?
Indeed. It was pointed out to me that all of this started, the Combination Pond issues sprang out of the Moonbrook issues, which began during the tenure of Jeffrey Wenberg, former mayor of Rutland, as commissioner of DEC. That same Wenberg is now the commissioner of Rutland's Department of Public Works. There have been some suggestions that might create some sort of conflict of interest, although apparently it would have created a conflict of interest way back then, and it caused Jeff, as commissioner, to recuse himself from everything to do with the Moonbrook watershed.
Mm-hmm. And also in tomorrow's paper, we'll have a preview from the big event that happens in Pollard every year, the Woodchuck Festival. Is that what it's called?
It's a big event?
Well, it's for Pollard.
It is for Pollard. Yes, it's huge.
Yep. The Woodchuck Festival is taking place in Pollard. We'll also have a story on a solar project in Springfield that apparently is not going to take place. And we'll also have a story from Lola Dufert on school spending and how local school districts are reacting, or what impact it will have recent legislative changes that took place on Saturday, the infamous 12:01 a.m. meeting that made changes to Act 46. And you'll have a story. You were supposed to be speaking with an alderman later today, right?
I spoke to him just now.
Oh, okay.
Later today. This morning it was later today. Now it's just now. Yes, Alderman Chris Salisky, the outgoing alderman, has proposed converting the Giorgetti Fund into an endowment. and we'll have the details such as they are at this point on that.
And one more thing, we'll have a preview story from Dan Colton on races for Rutland Town Select Board. He has spoken to the candidates there, and we'll have a story there. So let's look at some of the stories we're working on for tomorrow's paper. Thanks for watching.